Oh, it's working. Good. Cool. Well, I'm Pete. Abby's already told you that. So, Incarnational Mission, nice small topic. So the first 20 minutes is going to be about incarnation, the second 20 minutes about mission, and the last bit putting them together. Abby was joking, but I might not. No, you're all right. I've only got an attention span that's quite short. So we're going to talk about incarnation, and then I'm going to just put my little spin about what incarnational mission might be. So incarnation. What do you think of when you hear the word incarnation? Shout out in a COVID-safe way. Anyone have any immediate sort of thoughts that come to mind? Anything that they think, oh yeah, then when someone says that, they think this? No? Okay. Well, so I think of two things. I think both of them in a religious context. So firstly was RE at school, reincarnation. So I had to learn a bit about that. And secondly, the nativity. That's what I think of, because that is the incarnation story. So incarnation as a definition is to be in flesh, to be human, basically, I think. So the nativity story is God becoming flesh in Jesus and coming to live amongst the earth, the world, as a human in all its brokenness. And what Jesus is doing the things that people couldn't do. So since the Garden of Eden, God has wanted to be in relationship with humans. He's strived to have humans to sort of correct the wrongness of the relationship, if you like. Moses, for example, was sort of meant to bring Israel out, bring them into close relationship with God, but it didn't work. He wasn't good enough. He didn't complete the job. And Jesus was about doing that, about bringing humans to right relationship with God. There we are, it's incarnation, it's done. No, I'm joking. You're not getting off that lightly. When does the nativity start? When you go to a school play and the nativity story is on, what's the first bit? What's the first act? Act 1, scene 1. Angel speaking to Mary. I thought so too. So that's what I put, that one. So you will be with child and give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus. Now, sometimes they have a bit of Isaiah coming in, sort of saying this is going to happen and all of that. But I think that's the start. What's the end? How does it finish? Wise men come to worship. Yeah, I think so. And so I went kind of with the wise men. There was a lot more than 3, wasn't there? But we've gone for 3. So Matthew 2, verse 12, the good news of the story is that the wise men went back a different way. They didn't go back to Herod and tell him that Jesus was just down the road in Bethlehem and so that he could go and kill Jesus. They didn't do that. They got warned in a dream. They went back a different way. It's a good story to the end. And we finished there, and that is the nativity story. And we love going, well, we don't necessarily love going. We do enjoy going to see nativity stories. We love telling it. It's a wonderful story. But I think we romanticize it a little bit. Because Matthew 2, verse 13, when they had gone, wise men leave, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, go, get up and go, because Herod is coming for your baby and he's going to kill him. Get out and go to Egypt. And Joseph got up that night with his family, with his child, who's less than 2, and set out for Egypt. To Egypt. It's quite far. So my little black arrow on that screen is 200 kilometres. Oh no, 100 kilometres. And the little dot, I don't know if you can see it, is Bethlehem by Jerusalem. That is a long way, and that is not a safe way to go for 3 people as part of a small family. But it gets worse, because on your way, as your teenage Mary with trying to get your toddler out to the car is enough, getting him 300 miles down the road to Egypt, you hear news that Herod is so angry that he's just killed all the kids in the village you just left. And that's on you, because it was your son that he was trying to kill. You then get stuck in Egypt for a while, and you move around. We don't really know what happens. But then you get an angel come, who says, it's all right, Herod is dead. You can go back now. So they set off. But then as they get near, they find out that Herod's son is on the throne, and he is just as bad. And actually there is a long line of violence and terrible behaviour within that family, and it's still going on. So you're the first people that meet Jesus. And to my mind, it seems that Mary from the quiet town of Nazareth, her life falls apart when she meets Jesus. And everything goes wrong. And she is a victim of other people's brokenness. She's a victim of Herod's family brokenness. And her son Jesus is born into a broken world. He wasn't a protected son. He wasn't born into a palace and educated there to learn the ways of the world and like that. He was born into full brokenness, the brokenness of humanity. He was present in that brokenness. And my belief of Jesus' story is that through the first 30 years of his life, I think he was practicing to be present with people, because when you read the stories in the gospel, he has an amazing affinity of meeting people where they're at. And there's so much of the gospel is about him just spending time with people and meeting with people, going for walks, going around to people's houses. He didn't have anyone over to his, did he? Did you notice that? He's always at someone else's house. He's on their territory. And he was present. This is the reclining at the table that they do when they're Jewish. But one of the hallmarks of him, he was criticised by the Pharisees because he was present with people who were a bit broken. And that's what Jesus was known for. So that's just a whip through. We're going to pause that thought for a moment, and the backdrop of that. It's very difficult to switch seamlessly into mission, but we're going to do that. So again, when you think of mission in a Christian context, what do you think of? I think of panic, because someone at church is telling me that I should tell more people about Jesus, and I'm really not very good at that. I don't like to do it. It feels uncomfortable. It doesn't feel like, some things you just click with, and something it doesn't feel right. For me, it just doesn't feel. I just don't do that well. I don't like it. At this point, I'm going to say that the second bullet point there, though we are, it doesn't really make sense, does it? We've all got a different role to play. Not everyone's the same. So what I'm going to talk about isn't necessarily for everyone. Everyone might have different roles. Some of you might be great speakers of Christian truth to those who don't know Christ, and that's brilliant. I think for me and mission, and me and the very important job I've got to do to share God with other people, is about being present, about spending time with people, and about opening up my life to those who aren't part of our faith community. So, Incarnational Mission, I thought when Matt sent these round, I'd just be able to buy a book, read it, tell you what the book said, job done. There aren't many books on Incarnational Mission, so I've had to sort of think of my own definition. And here it is. So I think Incarnational Mission is about taking the essence of Jesus and being present with people amidst their brokenness, being a window for them into a God who shows great delight in them, who loves them, and to be God's presence there, that they might know that God is near. So that's what I think. So how can we reflect or share Jesus' story of being present in amongst the brokenness with those who don't share our faith? So that's what we're going to look at in the next little bit. The first thing is, for me, I have to make a choice to be there. So when you have a little think for yourself, how many of your good friends are not part of a Christian faith community? How much time in your week do you spend socialising with people who aren't part of a Christian faith community? And it might be fine that you don't. So if you don't, please don't feel guilty. Like, I'm not saying one's right or wrong, but just have a reflect on it. Because I think, for me, there's a choice to spend time with my colleagues. So when they come back from sick leave, is to go for a coffee with them, to say, that was really hard. What happened? What was your suffering? What was the difficulty? Talk through it. They're quite a thirsty group, so it's to go to the pub with them. It's to go around their house and to see their new house because they like things and they want to show me them. It's those sort of things, to choose to do that. But it's more than that. It's about spending time with people in a good way and doing it well. So the next few points, they're just tiny, they're massive topics, and I'm just throwing them out there of just things that we can think of how we might spend time with people well. The first thing is we have to accept our own brokenness. We are not the fixers. We haven't got it sorted. I'm a very broken human being, and the moment that I go and try and take Jesus to someone because I'm fixed, I just look, it just doesn't work, does it? The relationship breaks down, it all falls apart. We have to accept our own brokenness, and we have to expect of other people that they're not going to be knights in shining armour. They're not angels from heaven. We're all a bit broken. And I think our first step into spending time with people is not to fix. It's just to share in the brokenness. And I love this quote because it means that God can use all of us. Brokenness is God's requirement for maximum usefulness. If you're perfect, well, that's the wrong way to put it, isn't it? If you're broken, God's got a great plan for you and he can use that. And that's exciting because that includes all of us. So the next thing in terms of how do we spend time with people? Well, take delight in people. Do you know that God delights in you? He has wanted to spend time with you forever and with humanity forever. And he delights in your character, the things that you love, the things that make your heart sing. God loves that. And that's the same for everyone in this room. It's the same for everyone in this world. So when you're spending time with people who aren't of the Christian faith, why don't you ask them what makes their heart sing? What do they love? What do they enjoy so much? What makes them feel like they're on top of the mountain looking at a great view? What do they find interesting? What are their takes on things? I think by sharing our delight in them, that brings a bit of God to that space. Be attentive. So I struggle to listen sometimes. And I write notes. So once I've had a conversation with someone, I'm not ashamed to say, they'll tell me names of family. They'll tell me the wife, their children. I can't remember that. When I literally come out, I will get my phone out, have a notes thing in my phone, and I put down that person and everything that I can think of to do it. And when I know that I'm going to meet them again, I read that so that my conversation, my part in our, so I know them and actually I can remember them and not just forget everything and you're starting again. It means you can ask them, how's such and such doing, or what happened when this happened. I'd love to remember it all, but I think, we can't all do that. So the last little point to make is just a couple of practical points. And again, this is from various sort of reading about presence. When you're spending time with people, it's good to enjoy it. Do something fun together. Do something that you enjoy as well. Like it doesn't, spending time with people or sharing, and particularly if someone's quite broken and you feel that you're drawn to be with them in that difficult time, you can still do something fun together. And the other thing to say is about neutral and shared space. So in church, we're brilliant at inviting people round for lunch after church, and that's great hospitality. That might not be everybody's cup of tea, because when you have someone round, I think that you might somehow, might present a neater front. We might tidy the house. We might want everything to go well. We might take responsibility of having a clean front, and they'll feel nervous because they're coming to your house. They don't want to make a mistake. So actually, it's quite a difficult space to be in, which is why I think when Jesus went round to different people's houses, he's happy in their space. He accepts their life choices by coming, and I think that he doesn't necessarily accept their life choices, but he accepts them where they are, and I think that that's really important. I'm finishing now, so don't panic. So what is Incarnational Mission? Well, for me, I'm really passionate about this, about being present with people amidst their brokenness, and that can be in church or out or whatever. But I think when we're doing it for people who aren't of a Christian faith, we can be a window of God's delight in them, of God's love for them, and how God wants to be present in their lives, so that they might know that God is near and God can be close to them. And so my challenge for Christmas to you guys, or my ask, is that when we reflect on the Christmas story, the greatness that God delights in us so much that he is persistently pursuing relationship with us, that when we wander that for ourselves and enjoy that and rejoice in that, actually we can think about how in our brokenness we might be able to be with others who are feeling broken as well. Cool. Thank you. Shall I just pray to draw a line? Father God, I just thank you that you are a good God, that you love us in our brokenness, that brokenness is human and you've made us, and that you want to be with us. And we don't need to feel shame in that, because you have paid the price that means that we can be with you, Lord, and you desire community with us. But Lord, I pray that you'd help us to look beyond our own self, that we would see those who are struggling, those who are broken, that we might go to them and share in that we might be vulnerable with our own brokenness to bring your goodness and your comfort to them, Lord. Amen.